to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to do a review on this 2016 C7 Z06 Corvette. As you know, the C7 Corvette generation launched in 2014 and it ran all the way until the 2019 model year. When released, the C7 Corvette set the world on fire with its slang, low-hung styling, direct injection engine, 8-speed automatic, 7-speed manual, and on and on and on. So stay tuned for today's review of the 2016 C7 Corvette Z06. Upon its release, the C7 Corvette was highly anticipated with its new revision, hugely updated interior over the C6 models. The C7 was viewed upon as a leap in styling, design, and engineering. One of the big changeovers from the C6 was the new LT engine family, or the Gen 5 small block, coming over from the LS engine family. The big difference with the Gen 5 LT was the direct injection engine, also the improved performance in fuel economy and efficiency. One of the big improvements of the C7 versus the C6 was styling. Now, for some folks, they reviewed the styling as a little too edgy, a little too futuristic. For others, they preferred the C6 with its classic body lines. The C7 featured several models, from the Z51 Stingray package, the Z06, the Grand Sport, and the ZR1. One of the main breakthroughs of the C7 was the fact that you got your top models, such as the ZR1 and the Z06, in an automatic transmission. For those of you who know and who've been following Corvettes, the previous generations, you could only get a Z06 or a ZR1 in a manual transmission. With the Stingray, it features a 460 horsepower LT1 V8 that you could get either option in an 8-speed automatic or a 7-speed manual. For the first year, the 2014 model, you only got the 6-speed auto if you wanted automatic. From model years 15 through 19, the 8-speed was available. And for those of you who wanted the manual, the 7-speed Tremec TR67 was your option. For those of you who wanted a little bit more performance, you could opt for the Z51 Performance package, which opted for a heavy-dutier, performance-oriented suspension and brakes. You could also get a dry sump option with the Z51. For those of you who wanted even more, you could option for the Grand Sport. For the Grand Sport, you could look at it in two ways. You get the Z06 wide body, but with an LT1 engine. So you get the best of both worlds. You get a wide body Corvette, but with the LT1 performance. And it also features a different gear ratio. For those of you who autocross and track your car, it was a steeper gear ratio. Want even more power? Well, the C7 Z06 is on order for you. The C7 Z06 featured a 650 horsepower and torque LT4 V8, came with a dry sump and was either Tremec's TR67 or the Hydromatic 8L90 transmission. The C7 Z06's LT4 engine featured outstanding performance numbers with a 0 to 60 in 2.95 seconds for the automatic and 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds for the manual, with a top speed of 200 miles an hour. You had either the Z07 package, which had the carbon ceramic brakes, stage 3 front aero and rear trim with a stage 3 wicker bill, or you had the 2LZ or 1LZ options. As featured in this video, this car happens to be a 1LZ trim interior package, but it still features the mighty LT4, and as this particular car sits, it has Cook's long tube headers, catless X-pipe, E85 flex fuel tune, and an AFE cold air intake with an NGK plug gapped at 28 thousandths. On the dyno, this C7 put out 676 horsepower and 660 pounds-feet of torque to the rear wheels. Drivability of this car is the same as stock. The only difference is this car makes about 100 more horsepower over stock. Some people might say the C7 was perfectly optioned from the factory, But as you always know, for us who are into cars, we could always use a little bit more power. And to be honest, an LT or an LS engine uncorked with long tube headers and a free-flowing exhaust is how it should have came from the factory. Let's just be honest, folks. Since its release, the LT engine has picked up right where the LS left off. The only drawback for the LT engine, however, was the direct injection. And for those of you who know, if you're pushing the LT platform significantly above where it came from the factory, the only way to get after it is to get after the fuel system, which requires a low side fuel pump and also installing a cam with a larger fuel lobe to drive the lobe on the cam. Most of your options are a 33% or a 38% fuel lobe. You're also starting to see companies like FIC and Extreme DI come on board with 30, 40, and 65% higher flow injectors over stock. The one drawback to the LT is with those fuel mods are cost. A set of LT injectors upgraded can set you back anywhere from $3 to $5 grand for a set. And if you're running the Extreme DI from K-Tech, you can expect to pay upwards of 10 grand for their high pressure fuel pump that's driven on the drive assembly of the motor, and also about 6 grand for the injectors and the fuel pump. So as you can see, fuel is your limiting factor, and you have the means to pay 10 grand for a fuel system. The opportunities are limitless. Another function of the LT engines is you have the displacement on demand, or DOD. This function can yield upwards of 20 and even 30 miles to gallon. There have been reports of C7 Z06s that were clocked in and tracked at nearly 30 miles to the gallon. That's pretty impressive when you look at an engine that's running 650 horsepower. The C7 ZR1, however, does not have this feature. Optional, it does have an additional set of port injectors. GM learned for the ZR1 by observing the shortcomings of the Z06. One, the ZR1 features 13 intercoolers compared to the Z06's 8. The ZR1 also features a 2.65 Eaton supercharger with an additional set of port injectors. This ensures that you will never run short on fuel, and that you will also always have cooling for the blower, and that you would not have heat soak in track-like conditions. The C7 ZR1 was produced one model year only in 2019. You got to give props to GM for getting up and delivering a one-year-only car. As some say, that was the last greatest vet ever made, as you could get a C7 ZR1 with the ZTK package for MSRP of 130 grand, 755 horsepower, 715 pounds of torque. What a great day it was to be a fan of Corvette. Thank you guys for following the Rdubfalco Performance YouTube channel. If you like what you see, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Stay tuned for more updates on the Ford Falcon as we continue to get that motor swapped over from the 408 Windsor to the 430 Windsor, and many other projects to come. Thank you.